What's up, guys? I'm here today to show you a cool little mod for the original Nintendo that I have sitting here. You may have heard about it, you may already know about it. You could be here simply because you want more information, anything like that, and possibly trying to decide if you wanted to get one. So I had picked up the Ninten-drawer here. It's a cool little mod. I'll go ahead and link it down below whenever if anyone wants to check it out, as far as going to purchase one, possibly looking at the store page and getting some information on there. But essentially what this does is replace the original 72 pin connector that's in your Nintendo. As you see there, it does have a 72 pin connector, and the bottom half has the same 72 pin connector that would connect to the motherboard on your Nintendo, just like the original 72 pin connector does. However, the difference with this one is with the original Nintendo, when you put a game in, you're putting it down at an angle, and then you're pushing the cartridge down to become flat. So what that's doing over time is when you put it in like that, say, use this as an example, if you put it in there and then push it down, what that's doing is it's bending the pins on the 72 pin connector. And what happens over time is they eventually get bent out of place, out of shape, everything like that. You can open this up, take it out, kind of clean it out, bend those back up. You run the risk of snapping one of them because that can happen. And it's not a permanent fix. It's going to happen again. You can take the original 72 pin connector out and replace it with a new one. There are people that make either refurbish them or make new ones, and you can swap it out. It's really about a 50-50 shot if it'll even work. And what I mean by that is sometimes, you'll put the game in, work perfectly, no problem, as if the system was brand new. Other times you can put the game in and right back to square one, what you're having the issue with to begin with. That's what happened to me. That's what caused me to look up and purchase this, because I've heard that pretty much every time you put a game into this, hit that power button, everything works as should. One of the main differences with this is when you put the game in, you're sliding the game in here like this into the connector. You don't push it down anymore like you would normally in this. It basically it stays completely flat as is, and that kind of saves the pin connectors from bending out of shape and everything like that. Makes it last much longer. I'm sure to some degree these things can still bend out of shape once all the force from the game cartridge moving into it, it'll eventually kind of push them down, as it should, because you need a tight connection there. So that's basically the improvement, is it doesn't bend those out of shape or out of position over time. One of the other positives to this is when you push your game in, as you see here, it'll push this back and it'll snap into place. There's two magnets on here that hold that into place. Kind of ensures that the game kind of stays where it's at, doesn't move around so much, whatever the case might be. And then when you pull it out, it'll just pop and slide right out. There might be like a little bit of a stronger connection between the game and the 72 pin connection in here. If that's the case, you just pull it right out. So what I'm gonna do now, actually, another thing to tell you, I just had to remember that. As you see here, it's branded with Ninten-drawer. And on the back side, it's just all black. Same thing, just without the branding. You can pull this off, flip it around, and what that'll do is when you open up the hatch here, you'll see the black side, the plain blank black side, instead of the Ninten-drawer branded. So if you like something to look more authentic in terms of, or sorry, I should say original, that would be the way to do that. They can also, I believe they can print out something custom. So if you wanted your name or gamer tag, whatever, they can do that, I believe. And you can also buy separate ones of these. I believe they're $3.99, and it'll have different things on it. Like I know there's one that says "Do not push down," because you don't push this down like you do the original one. So that's it's just a way to personalize it, or you can just kind of make it yours. I will link that down below also. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this. I'm gonna switch to my phone camera for that, because unfortunately with this one I can't exactly get the proper angle on my desk to be able to show you. So I might dub over that because I don't know exactly how the phone camera microphone is gonna sound. It might not sound too good. So if I dub over it, it's really just me, kind of giving you a easier walkthrough than me stumbling around trying to do everything by hand and also explain it. If I end up using the audio from my cell phone, I'm gonna try, obviously try to avoid that. I'm not gonna, steer you the wrong way or anything. It's just, sometimes when you're trying to work, you might lose your train of thought or whatever else. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and show you first thing. So I have the a game in here. I believe it's Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to another screen. And then as you see, there's no signal, the system's not on. I'll hit the power button here. And when I hit the power button, you'll see it comes up and it's basically no signal. The red light is on, but there's just no signal to the game. It's just a faulty connection. Sometimes the red light will blink. I'm sure we've all had that situation before, but as you see, no signal. You can, as I said, kind of jiggle the game around a little bit. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. Let's go ahead and see if it will this time. Just you put them in there and you have the issue, it just won't hit that 72 pin connector properly. Other times you got to do the old trick. Oh, I'm sorry, let me go ahead and switch the camera back. Sometimes you have to do the old trick where you wedge another game on top of the game that you put in. It'll kind of hold it down a little bit more and then it'll work. But it's really a pain. You don't want to do that. That's basically the old issue that we had where we would take the games out and be blowing into them. And we thought that worked. If anything, it really made it worse, because when you're blowing into it, sometimes like some spit will come out of your mouth, or just like little bit of moisture that gets on the connector for the game, and then eventually it becomes dirty over time and gets dirtier and dirtier, and then it's making a worse connection to the 72 pin connector. So it was actually really bad to do that back in the day when we all did it. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap this out now. From everything I've heard, from things I've reviewed on videos, everything else, it's almost 100% of the time, as soon as you put it in there, hit that power button, it'll work. I'll try with a different game just to show, because you just did see Mike Tyson go on, but this should solve all the issues. I believe it they said there's something in here as well. I don't remember exactly where it's located on here, but I believe it's supposed to also override one of the things on the main board in here that basically did the region locking. So if I took a Japanese cartridge and threw it in here and hit the power button, it would not read it, wouldn't work, because it would go to that connector and realize, hey, this is the wrong region, and not work. This, I believe, overrides that, so you can pop Japanese games in here and everything works. You'll be able to play a Japanese version of a game, or Japanese release game that might not have come out in the US. So that's another perk to it as well. Basically mods it to be region free. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over now, start taking it apart, put everything in. There is a lot of screws in this to take out. I'll go through all of that and show you which ones to take out. There's only a couple, I believe, that you don't. So we'll go ahead and work on that and see how everything goes. All right, so I have everything set up here. Did go ahead and remove the screws already, just make it a little easier on myself. You may notice there's only 5 here. What you need to do initially when you're taking this apart is you're gonna flip it over. You're gonna notice the screw holes here, here, in the middle, here, here, and in the middle. There are 6. My system, I guess over the years, whatever the case is, had lost one. I do have a replacement. I have an exact set of the original Nintendo screws. It's just in the other room, so I'll go ahead and add it in later. Not necessarily important right now. Just to let you guys know, there should be 6 though. And I do recommend, I don't have one on hand currently. It's outside. It's currently nighttime, and it's in my shed. Don't feel like going out there looking through everything and in the dark and whatnot. So I'm using what I have. A little bit more difficult. Do as I say, not as I do. If you have a magnetic screwdriver, obviously use that. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this now. Take that off. Take the lid out of there. And you set the system down. Now, what you're going to want to do first is you will notice there is the shield on here. That's the first thing you need to take off. There's some screws over here. I believe there's 2 in the back and then a couple on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get those out. So you just, use your trusty screwdriver. Okay, you should be able to just kind of lift this one out. It might get stuck on this here, so if it does, you just kind of pull it out. There you go. That's off. Now, what you're going to see in here is the drawer that you slide the game into. It'll connect here in the 72-pin connector, and then as you push it down, you see this does not move. This does, though. So when you put the game in there, you're pushing it and it's bending and pushing those. So over time it does get a little worn. You see like mine are kind of offset and some are higher than others and whatnot. So the next step as far as removing things, now this portion does have screws that are slightly longer or bigger. I believe it's the 2 that are here, this one and this one. And then there's top screws as well. So I believe those are bigger. I'm going to go ahead and take out the same size screws first, the ones that'll match these ones. And then you want to remove these other 2, which are slightly bigger. Why? I don't 100% know. I just know that they are. So that's all the ones on the black tray. And as you see, if you compare the 2, it is bigger. So I'll put that one off to this side. And then the final one. There you go. Okay, so now the next step is to remove the cartridge tray. So what you want to do with that, I believe this should be loose now, which it is. Okay, so what you want to do with the cartridge tray, you see it'll kind of slide out now that all the screws are out of it and it's loose. But as you try to pull it out, things are here kind of blocking you from doing so. So you need to lift up on it. And making sure I didn't miss a screw anywhere, which doesn't look like I did. But you might have to, oh, you know what? I did. There's one more here. This is the power and AV and everything. There's one more screw there. Oh, and I have a couple screws over here that I don't want to lose, so I'll put them over here. Okay, so we have one more to go. Throw that over there with all the others. Now this should kind of pop out. You do want to be careful. There is a tray underneath, the one similar to the one that was on top. So I can just, oh, okay. This is going swimmingly. There's another screw. I don't know if you could see it. It's way down in there in the, so I have taken this apart before. It's just been a very long time. So you want to make sure you get all these screws, otherwise you're not going to be able to take this thing out. This is going to be the one that'll end up probably falling down in there. Nope, got it. Okay. So now this should pop out. Yeah, easy. See, that's what happens when you get all the screws. Anyway, so this should come off easy now. It just slides right out. There you go. That's the original drawer. And this is the 72 pin connector, which you ended up taking the screws for it out, connecting it to the motherboard earlier. So to remove this 72 pin connector, first off, as I said, there is a shield underneath. That's this right here. And you're going to see that's going to be making it a little difficult to get this off. So what you're going to want to do is separate it a little bit. It is still kind of connected because of the wires and whatnot underneath. So now that you have it separated a bit, you're just going to slide this off. It might be a little difficult. It is a tight fit on the motherboard. Whoops. There you go. It just pops right off. That's the old 72 pin connector, which you can see. Oh yeah, that's the way it goes, I believe. And as you see, those are definitely bent out of shape, not looking 100%. So we'll put that off to the side with the tray. What we're going to do now, as I said, you can flip this over. I kind of want to do that. So you see there are little grips here that hold it in place. I believe you can just pull it out though. Might be a little snug, a little bit tough, especially with a camera in between you and it, but I believe it just pops right out. Yep. Flip it over. You want to make sure you're getting it in the groove here and get the notches in there. It should just pop right back in again. Yep, like that. So when you flip it over, it's all black now. I'm doing that specifically to make it look more original. I might possibly get something here printed in the future. I'm not sure yet. So what you're going to want to do now is you have the connectors down here. Sorry for the lighting, but the connectors, same as the other connector. And you're going to want to put that onto the motherboard. It might be a little bit difficult to see, but you just, this portion here, I already cleaned this recently, so no reason I believe to clean it. But if you decide you not liking how this looks, might look a little dirty, whatever, just kind of, you know, a little bit of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, 91% I believe is what people say to use. Maybe wipe that on there, or, you know, actually even better than that, because that can leave residue and end up getting dirty over time. Just take an eraser, you know, plain rubber eraser, rub it on there. Oops, sorry for that. And it'll clean it right up as well. So now what you're going to want to do is take that 72 pin connector on this, put it right up on the motherboard, slide it on the opposite of when you took the other one off. Might be a little bit difficult to pop in there, but probably fast forward this to when it's on. It's actually a little bit easier than I thought it would be. You see, you can kind of see in there, it's, you know, connected. Just kind of give it one more push to make sure. But the other way to tell is if the screw holes are lined up, which, see if I can get an angle there. You can see through it. Oops, sorry for moving you. There you go. Can see the light. So those are lined up, everything is good there. What we'll do is put that kind of back in place, and yeah, so what we'll do now is you just sort of fit this back on the heat tray or whatever it's called underneath the thing that the heat shield or shield. And then you slot this back in just how you had found it. You know, line these up and line the pins up here. There's little pins in the screw holes. So everything is lined up. Then go ahead and fast forward back through and get the screws and everything on. So real quick before I continue, I have the front two screws in here on the new drawer that I installed. There are ones, it's very hard to see with the lighting and everything, but there are ones down in here. Let's see if I can get proper lighting or not. But there's a screw hole down in there with a hole. There's a screw hole over here. You're gonna have to put a screw in, sorry. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in. I just wanted to point those areas out to you so you don't forget those. But the long screws that I took out that are sitting right over here, these ones, you're no longer gonna need those with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in, get the rest of the screws back in, get the heat shield back on, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, got the heat shield, everything back on. All the screws are in, as you see on the side, in the back, on the sides here, and those three. Now, don't forget when you are reassembling this, you might notice you have a couple extra screws. Didn't do it myself, but just to let you know, there is one right down there that you had taken out, and the one that's up here. So you got to remember to get those in. Easier to do before you put the shield on. So you put those in, put the shield on, and then put these other ones in. So, as you see, here's the Ninten-drawer. Sorry for hitting the camera again. And it doesn't push down. Can't push it down. So that you lose that appeal to it if that's something that you enjoyed for whatever reason. Maybe a nostalgia thing, I don't know. But gonna go ahead and get the top back on now. Once that's on, I'll plug it back in and we'll test it out, see how everything goes. All right, so I got the system all back together, sitting over here, hooked up and everything. Skipped over all the screwing in process. Also, kind of skipped over unscrewing everything as well. You guys know how to screw in a screw, unscrew a screw. If you don't know that, honestly, probably need to go check another tutorial before coming back here and doing this yourself. But that being said, I showed you the screws that I did miss originally. I've taken this thing apart before. It was just like a while ago, and there's a couple that connect the power and the AV port to the system. That's also connected to the motherboard. They're a little bit harder to reach, especially when you're trying to put the screw back in without a magnet. I did fumble with that one a little bit, but I also have, you know, big hands, big fingers, and everything, so it's, you know, a little bit harder. Anyways, get all those back in. Make sure you don't forget to put that AV and power screw back in before you put the heat shield on. It's just easier. Once you get those in, then you put the heat shield back on, screw those in, shell back on, and everything is good to go. So have good old trusty Mario Brothers 3 here. Gonna go ahead and throw this in, see how it works. So what you're wanting to do, slide it in like normal, just get it in there. It's going to be a little bit harder of a push, but once you get it there connected, it, you know, the little bit of harder to push to get it in the final, you know, I don't know, quarter of an inch, whatever it is. That's it going on to the new 72 pin connector that's attached to the Ninten-drawer. And it is a little bit snugger of a fit. I'll show you, like, as I pull it out. And actually, you'll see it slides very nicely to get the cartridge in and out. But you know, it just a little pulls it right off there. Cartridge comes out, no problem, same as always. But you know, like I said, the initial push, you just want to, you know, get it in there. So I'll switch screens now. And when I'm switching screens, we'll go ahead and hit the power button and see how everything came out. And there you go. Everything looking good. So that's very good solution, it seems, because I have had issues with this cartridge as well. You know, like I said, got to, you know, sort of jiggle it around a little bit, push it down further, and you know, put a lights just went out. Happens at a certain time of day. Anyways, yeah, so that's all good. Flip that down, looks the same as normal. The only difference, like I said though, is when you put the game in, you're not pushing it down anymore. So you're gonna see it like this when you have the game in there. That's the only difference. But as I said though, slides out nicely, and then the last little bit here, you just pop it out. And as you see, looks the same as it always did when you first got it. So that's a simple solution. I will go ahead and let you know this did cost, I believe it was $50. It might have been 55, somewhere around there. But definitely worth it if you want to, you know, love your console, love your games for a long time. This is a good solution to fixing any issues with playing the games or having them not connect to the 72 pin connector and you have to sit there and jiggle them around. But that's just simple solution. I'll go ahead and link it in the description below, along with the plate, like I said, that you can get to go along with it. And I believe that's it. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and do me a favor, just hit like. It helps, you know, I believe it helps get noticed, spreads the throughout the algorithm. I don't know how YouTube works, and nobody really does, honestly. But go ahead and like the video if it was helpful to you. If you have a Ninten-drawer, if you're thinking about getting, or been thinking about getting one, or you know, if you were just curious because you saw this video and it ended up helping you decide to get one, you know, just go ahead and put a comment. If you have a Ninten-drawer and you've had any issues with it, or you know, you found something that you liked about it that I might not have mentioned, put that down in the comments. Let me know. I'm curious on the feedback on everything. And as always, I guess, as everyone says, you know, don't forget to subscribe. I'll have more videos in the future. Probably going to be doing a video on a Raspberry Pi because honestly, I have the Nintendo here with a lot of the old games, Final Fantasy, the 2 Zeldas, Mario Brothers, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, all the Mega Mans, and honestly, between this and the space up here, I just don't want to have the Super Nintendo, N64, everything like all there, and I really don't want to be, you know, pulling them out of one room and the other just to replace them, just to play one game one day and vice versa. So probably gonna have a video about a Raspberry Pi, explaining how to set it up, show you putting it together. It's a lot smoother than this, specifically because there's no screws involved. And it's just a lot simpler to deal with than multiple old consoles. I'm gonna keep this here though, just, you know, for nostalgia purposes. I'll have it set up over there, be able to use it, and you know, play through the old games and then use the Raspberry Pi for, you know, some of the other systems, so I don't have to have the clutter or issue with moving them. So look forward to that video. Like I said, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and as people say, don't forget to comment, like, comment, subscribe. But you know, just let me know what you thought. Let me know if this helped you maybe decide to get one of these things, or like I said, if you have one, let me know what you think about it.